Late nights, I feel my heartbeat racing slow in candlelight. Words unspoken, feelings hidden, shadows dance until the morning light. When you say you need me, I'm holding on tight. All these doubts inside me fading out of sight. In this moment, nothing else feels right. You're probably right, yeah, you're probably right.
Yo, what's up, everybody? How you doing? This is MCM, and you're listening to You're Probably Right podcast, number 284. How the heck did we get here? All right. The title of this episode is Why Love Pulls Away When You Show Up Strong. And I think this is something that a lot of people want to know. There's ways to obviously Google it. You can go put it in a AI search and you'll get different types of answers. I'm just going to do my best to explain what I think about the whole situation. It is rough, when you do give all that you have to a situation, no matter what it is. Maybe it's work, maybe it's your family, maybe it's your relationship or your kids, and you seem to get nothing back. And not only do you get nothing, because most people who really do show up strong and really do give, they don't necessarily expect. You would think that 1 + 1, well, I guess you'd want to add 1 + 1 and equal 2, or whatever the situation is. There'd be a little give and a little take here and there, but for some reason, it seems to backfire on a lot of people, and they just don't get it. You keep putting into something, you'd expect at some point something positive to come out, right? It's just, the earliest signs of that for kids back in the day would be you put in 5 cents or 10 cents or a quarter and you get candy or gumballs or jelly beans or something out of the machine. It's like you've been kind of taught that once you put out, then you at some point take something back in. And it's not that it's your motive. It's just a lot of people think that's the way it works in life in general. And I'm just saying, I think that a lot of us have been just conditioned that way to think that that's the way the world works. Give and take, right? So anyways, just remember this podcast, like all my other podcasts, are for entertainment purposes, information, or whatever you want to call it, purposes only. And again, if you really, really want to know about these situations, I would suggest doing some searching, some soul searching, and doing some actual searching for information. Hopefully that what I'm going to say here is going to benefit you in some way, shape, or form. Welcome to my regular listeners, my sometimes listeners, my fair weather friends, and last time listeners. I appreciate you all. Please share, like, subscribe, wherever or whatever you can do for this podcast. It would really, really, really help. So here I go. Listen. This one is for people who show up strong. The one who answers the text, right? For the one who are there when they say they will be. For the ones who don't play games with love. That's what this is for. If that is you, then you probably know this feeling. You finally decide you are going to do it right. You bring consistency, you bring honesty, you bring emotional availability. All these things are, I guess, every article and every coach says that these are the things that a person would do and would give if they were a healthy person, and they should be bringing this into any proper relationship. So many of those people who I just named, like the people who are consistent, the people who are honest, the people who are emotional available, maybe they give in different ways, a whole bunch of different ways, as a matter of fact, probably. And despite whatever they did in their past, some people might say it's the chickens coming home to roost, or what goes around comes around, or karma, and all those different things that people say. But there are a lot of people who have been this way from the jump. But I'm just trying to paint the whole picture with a broader brush and saying, let's just say many of you haven't lived that way your whole time. You haven't always been healthy, in that you haven't always been honest. You haven't always been consistent. You haven't always been emotionally available. Anyways, you are now, and you've been trying to be now, if anything. And I really strongly suggest, don't necessarily hold people to who they have been in the far past, but you still do have to take into account the stuff that they do or have done, knowing that it is a possibility it could pop up again if that was their, actual character. People can pretend for so long, right? So I guess if you are with somebody like that, you just got to try to figure out, how do you know? Without just having the whole thing blow up in your face because of nonsense that you are doing to sabotage this person's effort on being a good partner, being a good person, Anyhow. So anyway, you stop being casual. You start being intentional, as they say, right? It's a big word, intentional. Is he being intentional? Is she being intentional? And then something strange happens. The person you are giving all of this to, the person who told you they wanted something real, slowly starts to pull away. And inside you, you're like, what the heck? There must be somebody else, right? The messages get shorter, right? Maybe they become like, even their messages, maybe they turn very, very neutral. Whereas at one point they were very, I guess, sensual or very personal, very intimate. And they, all of a sudden, you're talking about the size of wood that you need to get for your back fence, or how you wanted to stripe the lawn, and like just stuff like that. All the hot and heavy intimacy parts just kind of float away. Something did it. Probably there was a switch that you didn't recognize, or you did. But, anyway, energy just cools down, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. I think when the energy cools down, it gives people an opportunity to see what's really there. All that beginning infatuation and all that other stuff that sometimes clouds our minds, our decisions, our behaviors, purchases, and the list goes on, right? The energy just cools down. You feel it before you can even explain it. You know it's happening. You start asking yourself, what did I do wrong? You replay conversations. Maybe you read conversations or messages over again. You second guess every moment of vulnerability. You wonder if being solid, being clear, being present somehow made you less attractive. Maybe it took away all of the mountaintop, hilltop experiences, and now you're just kind of lulling in the in the forest somewhere. It is wild because we live in a world where everybody says they want real love, emotional safety, secure attachment, a partner who shows up. Yet, over and over, you see the same pattern. The second you stop being chaotic and actually give healthy love, someone gets scared. Today, we're going to talk about why that happens. We're going to talk about fear of intimacy. We are going to talk about avoidant attachment. We are going to talk about emotional pressure, about people who feel smothered when they are finally treated right, and about how consistency can actually feel uncomfortable to someone. You imagine that, right? Uncomfortable consistency. Who grew up, or has been in many situations where things were just in chaos and nothing was straight, and there was always something that was going wrong. So it's almost like the people just get used to that, Most importantly, we are going to talk about how you stay grounded and authentic when someone you care about starts backing away right when you're ready to give them your best. Because you are not crazy for noticing this shift. I've noticed the shift before. I'm sure many of you listening have noticed the shift before, and you didn't even know what to say about it. You thought maybe you're just in a, what is it, a rough patch, a sticky wicket. Things are just, leveling off or whatever it is. Meanwhile, they're just totally going in the opposite direction that you thought they would in the thought then, and the opposite way that you desired for it to go. You're not crazy for feeling that hurt. And no, we're probably not wrong for showing up strong, right? So, first, fear of intimacy, when love feels dangerous. Let us start with fear of intimacy. Most people will tell you they want closeness. They desire closeness. They want a deep bond. They want someone who knows them. But the truth is, being known is scary for a lot of people. You see, intimacy is not just romance. I know a lot of people think it is. Intimacy means somebody can see what you are insecure about. They can see the scars from all the problems you've had in life and issues and trauma and terrible situations. They might even get a peek inside that closet that you don't tend to show anybody. They can hear the story behind your anger or behind your silence. If you grew up in situations where opening up was punished, if it was mocked or ignored, your body remembers that. Even when your mind says, I want a relationship, the nervous system says, we tried that, it hurt, and never again unless we were 100%, 105% sure. So when you come in with that steady love, or when you come into it with steady love, when you answer their calls, when you listen deeply, when you give them emotional safety, when you just listen and really are there, they feel something they're not used to feeling. They feel exposed. And I know on the other side, you're like, well, I thought they'd feel heard. I thought they'd feel cared for. I thought they'd feel loved. And somehow it makes them feel exposed. And from the beginning of man, when Adam and Eve knew they were exposed, what's the first thing they did once they ate the apple, right? Or they ate the fruit. The first thing they did was they hid because they realized they were naked. So understand that's one thing that humans do not like to be, is exposed. Now, I know there's many of us who like to open ourselves up to someone we can trust. The question is, who can you trust? Fear of intimacy doesn't always look like fear. It often looks like nitpicking. Suddenly they are noticing little things about you that never bothered them before. Your texts are too long, then your texts are too short. You are too available, then you are not available enough. It can also look like starting, pointless arguments just as things are getting close. It is easier to fight about something small than to admit that I'm actually scared of how much I actually care about you. Their brain is telling them, if I do not get too close, I cannot get hurt. Their heart is saying, I want this. You're watching them stand in the middle of that conflict. From the outside, it can feel like they are being cold or cruel. Inside, they might be panicking. Pulling away is a way to lower the emotional temperature. It is a survival thing, a survival mood. Not always a conscious choice. And that's where, I guess, for somebody who would be anxious or leaning anxious a little bit, would be like, it doesn't sound right. It just sounds like they're treating me bad for being there, for showing up, for showing I care, for loving them. But this is really important to understand. Many times when people pull away, it's not a conscious choice. It's just survival mode, protection. Now, it doesn't excuse the bad behavior, and someone who, I guess, exhibits these behaviors needs to be aware of how they are treating other people, but many people just aren't. But it does explain why somebody can care about you and still back away the second the relationship starts to feel real and you start to get really close. Secondly, attachment styles and old wounds. Now we need to talk about attachment, of course. If you've ever heard the term avoidant attachment, this is where that comes in. People with a more avoidant style are usually big on independence. They like their space. They are often responsible, capable, sometimes even very caring, but they are uncomfortable when someone leans on them emotionally in a consistent way. It stresses them out. Where does that come from? Well, many times it starts in childhood. Imagine being a kid who goes to a parent for comfort and finds that the parent emotionally checked out, or harsh, or unpredictable. You cry and nobody comes, or someone comes, but they tell you to stop being dramatic. Your little body learns a lesson, and the lesson is this: depending on people is not safe. So you grow up in adult relationships, and they're built around that old rule. You will be there for people up to a point, but once it feels like they truly need you, or once you feel yourself truly needing them, this alarm goes off. That is avoidant attachment. Not because they do not care, but because care feels like a risk. And it is, sometimes you've done stuff for people, no matter what your attachment style is, and sometimes it's been a knife in your back right after, and you don't get it. Or you lend somebody something, and when you lend it to them, knowing that they probably can't pay you back and not making a big thing about it, for some reason they disappear, right? So here you are, a grown man or woman, showing up with the strongest, most consistent love. You text back, you say what you feel, you don't make them guess. On the surface, they might appreciate it. They might even tell you, you are different, you are safe, you are the best thing that's happened to me in a long time. But underneath, their nervous system is on high alert. Closeness itself is touching that old wound. Their body doesn't know the difference between you, who are showing up with love, and somebody in the past who let them down when they opened up. And that's what they're having a hard time getting over. So they shut down. They go quiet. Texts slow way down. They find other things to do with their time. And to you, it feels like they're purposely excluding you from their life for whatever reason, even though you seem to be such an integral part about it. Of their life. Maybe you were texting maybe 10 to 20 times a day, and all of a sudden it slows down to good morning. And then the next text is, so how was your day? You understand? And it slowly goes down and down and down. They go quiet, as I said. They ask for space, but they don't explain why. They tell you you are overthinking things when you can clearly feel the distance. So you feel like you're being gaslit. And it feels like it's on purpose because it's your feelings, right? Again, from the outside, it looks like it looks different. From the inside, it often feels like overload. They're not trying to win a power game, they're trying to stop the internal panic. That is why sometimes when you finally step back, when you finally stop reaching out, they suddenly feel calmer. And then they're like, wait a second, what is this? What is this thing that I've stumbled on? Why are things getting better when I just gave up? Not because they never cared, you understand, but because distance feels safe. Their body goes back into the familiar, back into the old rule: do not rely on anybody. The sad part is, the same rule that once protected them is now blocking them from having the love they so want, but they don't know how to receive. Next, when love starts to feel like pressure, you're like, pressure? Let us talk about pressure for a minute. Sometimes the person pulling away is not deeply traumatized. You're like, the heck you say? Sometimes they just do not have a lot of emotional bandwidth. Maybe they have work stress, family stress, mental health stuff they have not talked about, or they grew up in a family where nobody modeled emotional expression, and then you walked in, and all in, of course, and fully present. You ask questions, you want depth, you really actually want to know them beyond their looks, beyond what they have to offer in any type of material way. They offer you depth. They want depth. You want calls, not just memes. You try to help, you check on them, you care. From your side, you are just loving. From their side, it can start to feel like an emotional spotlight. They worry they cannot keep up with your level of honesty or level of time and attention. They fear disappointing you. Instead of saying, this is a lot for me, can we slow down? They do what is familiar. They just move back. It's important to hear this. Someone asking for space is not always rejecting you. Many times they're trying to find themselves again. They're losing themselves in this wonderful experience. But the whole point is, when you've actually lost a feeling for yourself, it's like you feel like the wall's caving in on you. And it's like you don't know what to do to stop it. They're trying to make sure they are not losing their identity in the relationship. They need that for themselves. A healthy person can say, I like you. I just also need a bit of distance here and there. Unhealthy pattern is when they never say that. They just disappear, leave you hanging, and expect you to pick up the crumbs when they feel ready again. If you are the one who shows up strong, this can be really confusing. One month they're all about you. The next month you feel like you are begging for basic communication. What you need to remember is this: your consistency is not the villain. Their lack of communication is. Wanting closeness is not neediness. Asking for clarity is not pressure. Wishing for basic respect and responsiveness is not asking for too much. So if somebody does want closeness, that's a normal thing. And if somebody wants clarity, it's like, what are you doing? Are we in a relationship? Are you still dating other people? And somehow somebody would take that as pressure. Yeah. Next, when consistency feels boring. Now, for one of the hardest parts to admit, consistency can feel boring to someone who is addicted to madness and chaos. Some people have spent so much of their life chasing unavailable love that their body only lights up when they're in that uncertainty. They confuse adrenaline with passion. You probably know this pattern. They ignore the guy or the girl who treats them well, like all those Hollywood movies, right? And they obsess over the one who barely texts back, the one who keeps them guessing, the one who gives them those intense highs and lows. That is not romance. That is a nervous system hooked on unpredictability. There is a real brain science behind this. The reward center of the brain reacts strong to uncertainty. The occasional hit of attention after long silence can actually feel more stimulating than just steady affection. So, what happens when a stable person walks into their life? Someone like you. You call when you say you're going to call. You show up for plans. You say how you feel. You do not disappear for 3 days and come back acting like nothing happened. To a regulated person, this feels amazing. To a dysregulated person, this feels flat at first. They might say to themselves, I do not feel that spark, meaning I do not feel that anxiety my body associates with chemistry. They misinterpret the calm as a lack of interest. So they pull away from the healthy thing and lean back towards emotional, unavailable people, because that is where their system still thinks love is. In the chase, in the not knowing. If you are the stable one, it hurts. You watch them give their energy to people who do the bare minimum while you are showing up at the maximum level. You feel used, you feel betrayed, you feel disrespected. Again, this is not proof you are lacking anything. This is proof that their nervous system has not learned to trust peace yet. Sometimes, sometimes people who grow out of that pattern, sometimes they do not, sometimes people grow out of that pattern and sometimes they don't. But it is never your job to become chaotic just so you can compete with their old addiction. So in other words, don't change your character to that craziness, because as I was saying, you're like, that person is searching for the actual wrong thing. They're just searching for chaos. They're searching for adrenaline. And what you offer is peace and consistency and love and honesty and openness. And that's what they actually want. And if you switch up into that other thing, you just make yourself someone you're not, and eventually things are going to blow up in your face anyways, even if for the time being everything's hot and heavy. After that, real love versus survival patterns. At this point, you might be asking, if all this is going on, what chance does real love have? Here's the real answer. Real love will always trigger survival patterns before it heals them. The first time somebody truly sees you and stays, it exposes every story you've believed about being unlovable. The first time someone is consistent with you, it exposes how inconsistent other people were. The first time you feel respected in a relationship, it exposes how much disrespect you actually tolerated before. Let me read that again. The first time somebody truly sees you and stays, it exposes every story you have believed about being unlovable. That's right, it exposes it. The first time someone is consistent with you, it exposes how inconsistent other people were. The first time you feel respected inside of a relationship, it exposes how much disrespect that you tolerated before. That is true for you, and it is true for the person you are loving. So when your steady love collides with their survival self, there is going to be, obviously, a reaction. Some people lean in. They say, this is uncomfortable, but I am tired of living in fear. So they lean in. I want to try. Those are the people you can build with. Those who are willing to try. Others feel the discomfort and they run. Your presence shines lights on parts of them they would rather not look at, and rather people not see it. They do not want to question their old story. It is easier to call you too much. It is easier to call you too much or not my type than to admit. So it's either just, you're not my type, or just to, basically just admit, maybe I am the one who is not ready. They're not just pulling away from you. They're pulling away from the deeper work. Your love confronts the narrative that says, I am not enough, or love always hurts, or people always leave. If they are not ready to let that narrative go, they will let you go instead. It's easier. And as many of us have experienced, it's brutal. But it's also clarifying, because if your role in their life is simply to prove they are not ready, then that is not a relationship, that's a lesson. And lessons are not meant to be permanent. So you might be out of luck, and hopefully you and them have both learned something, right? So how to stay authentic when they retreat? Because, it's not easy. So what do you do when somebody starts pulling away from your strong, consistent love? First, you keep your dignity. It is tempting to chase them. It is tempting to send that long essay to explain yourself 12 different ways, to turn yourself into a mind reader and a contortionist trying to guess what will make them stay and realize what is there in front of them. But check it out. Every time you do that, you're teaching your own nervous system that their approval is your oxygen. That is not love. That is panic. You're in panic mode. You're scrambling. You're explaining. You're over-explaining. Instead, you can do these 3 things. Number 1, communicate clearly. You can say something like, I am sensing some distance. I care about you and I'm here, but I also value clarity. If you need space, that's okay, but I need honesty. Short, calm, and clear. You have now done your part. You have spoken your truth without begging. Number 2, you honor reasonable space without abandoning yourself. If they say they need a little time, let them have it. Use that time to reconnect with your own life. Go to the gym, see friends, work on a project, do a hobby, pray, journal, breathe. Space is not only for them. Space is also where you remember you had a life before them, and you will have one if they're gone and after they're gone. What you do not do is sit by the phone like it is a life support machine, right? Do not do that. Number 3, you protect your boundaries. There is a difference between someone needing a pause and someone putting you on the shelf. If distance becomes the pattern, if they disappear anytime emotions get real, if they come back only when it suits them and offers no accountability for their actions, then you are allowing this and you're subscribing to it like you are a YouTube channel. You're saying, give me more, Ike, and put some stank on it. Oh, I'm sorry. You can be compassionate and still walk away. You can understand their fear and still refuse to live inside of it. Healthy love is mutual. It's a mutual effort. If you are the only one caring, the only one with the emotional weight on your neck, that is not a relationship. That's just you overfunctioning. Next, what this says about you and what it does not. Let us bring this back to you for a second. You might be tempted to conclude that showing up strong is the problem, that being emotionally available is a mistake. It's not. That caring deeply is a weakness. Nope. That you should become colder to protect yourself. Uh-oh. No. You're creating a monster at that point. I want you to hear this clearly. The world does not need more people who do not care. The world needs more people who care the way you do, but who also know their worth and care about themselves. Your love is not the issue. Your lack of self-abandonment is the goal. Real love is not something you should have to earn by being less of yourself. It is not a prize given to the one who plays the most games or shows the least interest. So don't even get on that. Love, the kind you actually want, is given freely, or it's not love, it's control. Your job is not to become more palatable to broken patterns. Your job is to keep becoming more honest, more secure, more grounded, and let your life filter out the people who are not willing to grow to meet you there. Because the right person, whether friend or partner, will not be scared of your strength. Your consistency will not make them run. Your emotional availability will not feel like pressure. It'll feel like home. And in closing, y'all, if you are listening to this and you are in the act right now, or in the ache right now, where you can literally feel somebody drifting away while you are doing your absolute best, I want you to take a breath. Place a hand over your chest for a second. That heart beating under your fingers, that heart has survived more than one disappointment. It has survived more than one. Well, it has survived more than one almost. It has survived more than one person who could not see what you were actually offering. They couldn't see it. They can't see it. There is nothing wrong with wanting deep connection. There is nothing wrong with wanting consistent communication. There is nothing wrong with wanting to be chosen clearly, not half loved in secret. If someone pulls away when you show up strong, let that be information, not a verdict on you and your value. Maybe they're not ready to receive what you're bringing. Maybe they're still loyal to their survival patterns. Maybe they're still addicted to chaos and those who are bringing it. Maybe they simply do not have the bandwidth because of what's going on in their life. Whatever the reason, you do not have to twist your soul inside out to make yourself digestible. You can wish them well. You can release them without hatred. You can thank the situation for teaching you more about your own capacity to love. And then you can keep moving, keep pushing as the version of you who knows how to answer the phone, who knows how to be honest, who knows how to apologize when you're wrong and stand firm when you're right. You do not have to dim your lights to avoid scaring people who prefer the dark. They're going to get scared regardless. Somewhere out there are people whose nervous systems are tired of chaos, tired of guessing, tired of emotional games. For them, your consistency will feel like a miracle. Your strength will feel like safety. Your presence will feel like peace. Until then, please protect your heart without hardening it. Stay kind, stay clear, stay strong. You are probably right, or should I say, you're probably right about the way you love. Now make sure you are just as right about the way you love yourself. Anyway, y'all, this is MCM, and you're listening to You're Probably Right. Thanks for riding with me, y'all. Talk soon. Peace. Hey, come check out You're Probably Right podcast. Society is getting more unpredictable every day, but at the same time, predictable in its unpredictability. Say that 4 times real fast. Come with me as I attempt to find clarity in all the fog while staying way outside the box and kicking the box way down the road with my size 12 dogs. I use the Bible, experience, education, fortune, misfortune, life's lessons, life's mistakes to sort through all the mess. I talk about news, God, God, self-help, sports, sickness, health, music, parenting, love, humbleness, hurt, pain, joy, and all the things that might make you say, I never thought of it that way. Hopefully, anyway. Also, I take a stab at answering tough and not so tough questions, and all the while, understand that, listen, sometimes you end up in the hot seat and there's no thermostat. Well, that's how it is here. And because there's no topic, very few topics off the table, Torontonians will understand that Doug Ford reference there. Hopefully the podcast will be helpful and uplifting. And hey, maybe you'll find your own private Idaho here somewhere. Hope to see you soon.